way they look at it is that Indians are taking away American jobs. Now, it has to do with the negotiations, it has to do with our tensions with
So to dominate the negotiation, this is one of their tactic.
undoubtedly one of the biggest jolt to negotiations.
Hello, everyone. The Trump's administration's recent executive order raising H-1B visa fees per worker has sent shockwaves through the Indian IT and services sector. Now, experts warn that this move could not only disrupt the careers of thousands of skilled Indian professionals in the US, but also pose a serious threat to India's middle class and the growth of its services economy. Now, with India US trade negotiations ongoing and India's services exports forming a significant part of global trade, the implications of this policy are far reaching. And we have the Indian Express's Ravi Datt Mishra here with us, and we will talk about the economic, strategic, and policy dimensions of this development. Now, Ravi, we know that Trump administration is famous for its protectionist measures, but why do you think they have now chosen to expand it to the services sector, particularly targeting H-1B visas?
Okay, so for a while now we were seeing that Trump was only focused on goods, uh, be it tariffs on China, be it tariffs on steep tariffs on India. But in the last week, he has imposed fresh restrictions on India's operation in the Chabahar port,
Mhm.
um, and now he has imposed very steep tariff, not tariff, sorry, very steep fee on H-1B visa.
Right.
And there is, if you look at the last month's move by the Trump administration raising the 25% reciprocal tariff to 50%, you will
Mm.
see that all the last three major announcements are targeted towards India. So
Right.
I cannot help but say that this could be one of the uh, uh, one of the ways in which Trump is forcing India to open up. It has to be a negotiating position. A trade deal is still on. We have seen that India was perhaps willing to withstand even the 50% tariffs because the Prime Minister went to China. There was a lot of signaling, and it gave a message that such a steep tariff cannot force us to open agriculture, which is where majority of our labor force still is there. GM, where there's a lot of sensitivities. So I think that it has to do with the negotiations. It has to do with our tensions with US, and that is why all these three moves, the last three moves, has India imprint, you know, on all of them.
So to dominate the negotiation, this is one of their tactic.
100%. I mean, that is what seems to be.
Okay. When asked if the tech giants will be comfortable with his move, Trump said that they should hire Americans. Now, I want to know how much of the rise in foreign STEM workers in the US can be attributed to the H-1B program, particularly versus other visa pathways.
So this is well known that 70% of the beneficiaries of H-1B visa is Indian diaspora. This has resulted in um, benefits not just to Indians but also to Americans. And you might have seen politicians saying this off and on that topmost IT company CEOs are all Indians. There is
Right.
for students, US is the number one choice because that's where the R&D spend is happening. That's where the Silicon Valley is, and this has been a cycle for multiple years. I was just hearing a lot of experts talking. Um, you see H-1B workers going to the US and then slowly a lot of them coming back, and now we see this crowd, IT crowd in Bangalore, in Noida, in elsewhere, and there seems to be a Silicon Valley, you know, fast growing in India as well.
Hmm.
So benefits have been a shared one, but yeah, the conversation, the the uh, the administration's vicious, sometimes very vicious attack on everything from goods to services, it only indicates that they they are looking for change, and a major change. And now something something that has served their industry has also come under attack.
Hmm. Now we know that the fees is quite significant in terms of its impact on the Indian IT professionals. But good that you spoke about the students, because I want to know how will this impact the graduating students and the wider Indian diaspora.
So, there was a few months, a month back, I think there was this conversation when Trump was talking about Chinese students coming to the US being a majority part, and that the universities need them. So, you see, the US has not imposed any restrictions on college students. He is
Hmm.
imposing on H-1B visa. So, in a sense, you're still open to coming to America and studying over there while you pay fees to the colleges, but you're not allowed to stay there.
Hmm.
And if you see the 1,000, this steep fees that has been imposed, the annual average income of H-1B visa holders is around $66,000, and the fees is 1 lakh. So it is very clear that they don't want um, foreigners coming in. And Lutnick was very clear in saying that he wants Americans to be trained. He doesn't want Indians or any other country to be trained. But nobody will perhaps buy this argument. This is not how ecosystem of innovation works, and both the countries, and perhaps India, will be more hurt than Americans.
Hmm. The move has also come just before Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal's visit to the US. Now, how could this affect the ongoing India-US trade negotiations? Do you think India will bend?
So, this is undoubtedly one of the biggest jolt to negotiations, because as of now, things were still uh, the heat was still on goods, where there's a lot of low skilled laborers who are working, but it only comprised, or the impact was only 40 billion. But when you include services in this tariff game, in this protectionist game, things completely change. India is only 1 or 2% of the global trade when it comes to goods. If
Right.
services included, we are more than 4.5%. And
Hmm.
that is the growing sector, especially the IT sector. You see, this impacts the overall economy. The the IT crowd is it is the most high paying work. They become the highest consumers, and that gives way to our consumption cycle also, because we have to know that 60% of our economy is based on consumption. So there will be a dual impact, uh, and this means that the negotiations have um, become far more complicated than they were.
Hmm. What does the White House mean by calling abuses of H-1B visa program and a national security threat? Is there any evidence to that?
Okay, you know uh, um, only 6% of India is involved in IT.
Hmm.
Okay, in terms of the net number, in the context of the Indian workforce, it might seem very less, but in absolute terms, it is a huge number.
Hmm.
Over US has seen immigrants moving to the US. In 2000, the number was less than 30 to 40%. Now the administration claims that it has gone up to um, 60, 70%. So a big majority of this diaspora that has moved to the US is India, is the
Hmm.
Indian diaspora. Uh, so what this essentially means, and the way they look at it, is that Indians are taking away American jobs. Now there's a context to it. Uh, uh, Between 2000 and 2010,
Hmm.
uh, middle class in the US and in the European Union, they went through they pretty much saw the middle income jobs were off went to the offshore countries, India, China, a lot of and that has created a backlash. And the first wave of backlash was seen in the by way of goods tariffs, and the second wave of backlash we are seeing through services. So if we have to just say it in a plain simple terms, US believes that we are taking away their jobs. They are jobs going to Indians means that they are not Americans are not getting trained, and
Hmm.
and that's where all the anger is coming from.
Considering that Indian IT professionals, they contribute significantly to the tech ecosystem there. So, how do experts see the potential ripple effects on the US itself?
Okay, so the views coming in at the moment is very split. A lot of technocrats like Amitabh Kant and a lot of other people believe that once that talent, the Indian talent which is there in the US comes back, uh, the brain drain is going to stop. We are going to benefit, but I don't believe it is as simple as that. We lack the infrastructure, we lack the innovation ecosystem, and that is why we have been losing best of our talents to the US, to the Europe, to UK, a lot of other countries.
Hmm.
And to call or to say that now when there's a pushback in America, they'll come back and you will benefit is absolutely, it's a very um, it's too optimistic, I would say. I mean, uh, on one hand we need great talent, but on the other hand the ecosystem is what attracts the talent. So there will be a ripple effect in terms of uh, a fresh workforce coming back to the country. And when they come back, a lot of firings could happen, because any company in India would rather have um, somebody who is experienced, who's been in the US market, than somebody who has worked in India. So a lot of reset is going to happen, and I believe in the short term there will be a lot of pain.
Hmm. I want you to elaborate on what you mean by second middle class revolution in India and how H-1B visa restrictions might threaten it. You spoke briefly about it, but like a bit more.
So this is what the other day Preetham Banerjee, the head of WTO Center, he was talking about the period between 2000 2010. And that is when you know the Noidas, the Pune, the Gurgaon, all these places uh, uh, came up, and it was largely because of the IT revolution. and and the IT revolution was deepening and is deepening through global capacity centers. And what we are seeing is, if there's a pushback on H-1B visa, there's
Hmm.
bound to be a next phase of um, restrictions on offshore uh, IT services that Indians provide to the Americans.
Right.
And so the first wave of middle class was developed in these newer areas, the newer cities, which is humming, which is very lively and considered to be the hotspots of our country. And
Hmm.
there was a second wave coming in because of AI, because of newer technology. If there is this kind of restrictions by the Americans, it makes our job as exporters a lot more difficult, and it threatens the second wave of middle class that was uh, expected to come up through the IT services industry.
Hmm. Concluding this conversation, what do you think should be the step ahead now for India?
I mean, everybody that I've talked to have have been pretty much uh, uh, crying for reforms. I mean, this is America attacking us where we are the weakest. This is America exploiting our weaknesses, be it in tariffs, be it in the IT services. You
Hmm.
know, every in a lot of parliamentary standing committee reports, going back, dating back to 2016, 2017, 2018, there has been mentions of uh, you know expanding our base of exporting to newer countries, newer regions. But for a number of reasons, we have only focused on the US market because it is easy. And and when I say easy, it is a reflection on them and not us, because their systems are smoother. It is easier to export to the US. It is perhaps difficult to explore new markets, get into innovation, get into R&D. And now we have a situation where we are hugely dependent on imports from China, and we are hugely dependent on exports to US, be it in goods, uh, and yes, partially also uh, in services. It's not China, but we are dependent on US as an export market. So what is typically called as the Washington consensus has gone a tremendous change. And at the moment, everything that we are seeing is crying for reforms from the state level, from the government level. I was hearing a lot of experts who believe that central government have perhaps uh, uh, brought in a lot of reforms, but the states haven't. You know, there are only six cities in the country, six or seven cities where the economic activity and manufacturing is picking up, where trade has picked up, where there is a lot of movement, you know, internal immigration. People from Bihar go to Maharashtra, people from Bihar go to Gujarat. And but these centers have not seen that kind of a development. And it is time to bring these four labor codes into action. It is time for deeper deregulation to happen, so that we don't land up in a situation where external powers have the ability to disrupt economic activity. We simply cannot afford it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ravi, for joining us today. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe.